The Greeks didn't believe in hell the way we do. They believed in something far worse. Hell ends. What the Greeks designed never does. The punishments of Tartarus were not meant to destroy the soul. They were meant to break it, slowly, eternally, without the mercy of an ending. 5 people, 5 crimes, 5 eternities of suffering, and 5 lessons that the Greeks encoded into myth, because they knew we would need them. Number 1. Sisyphus. Sisyphus was the king of Ephyra, and he was, by every account, the most cunning man who ever lived. He cheated death, twice. The first time he tricked Thanatos, the god of death, into chaining himself. While Thanatos was chained, no one on earth could die. Wounds didn't kill. Battles had no end. The gods panicked. Ares himself freed Thanatos, and Sisyphus was sent to the underworld. But before he went, he told his wife, "Do not bury me. Do not perform the rites." So when he arrived in Hades, he complained, "My wife hasn't buried me properly. Let me go back and punish her." Hades incredibly agreed. Sisyphus went back to the living world and simply refused to return. He lived to an old age, still laughing, until Hermes himself came to drag him back. The punishment was elegant in its cruelty. For eternity, Sisyphus must push a boulder up a hill, and every time he reaches the top, it rolls back down. Forever. The gods didn't punish Sisyphus for being clever. They punished him for believing cleverness had no limits. There is a version of Sisyphus in every person who has ever believed they could outrun consequences forever. The rock always comes back down. Number 2. Tantalus. Tantalus was the son of Zeus himself. He sat at the table of the gods. He had everything a mortal could ever want, and then he threw it all away in the worst possible way. To test the gods, and just perhaps to mock them, Tantalus invited them to a feast and served them his own son, Pelops, cooked. The gods immediately knew. They were horrified. They reassembled Pelops and brought him back to life, and Tantalus was sent to Tartarus, where he stands, for eternity, in a pool of water that reaches his chin. Above him, a fruit tree, figs, apples, pears, always just within reach. When he bends to drink, the water recedes. When he reaches for fruit, the branch pulls away, forever thirsty, forever hungry, forever almost satisfied. Tantalus didn't lose everything because he was evil. He lost everything because he confused having access to greatness with being great himself. The most dangerous illusion is believing that proximity to power makes you powerful. The water always recedes. Number 3. Prometheus. Prometheus was a titan, and unlike the others on this list, he didn't commit his crime for himself. He stole fire from the gods and gave it to humanity. Fire meant warmth, light, civilization. The ability to forge tools and survive winter. Before Prometheus, humans lived in the dark. After Prometheus, they didn't. Zeus was furious, not just because fire was stolen, but because fire made humans less dependent on the gods. The punishment: Prometheus was chained to a rock on a mountain. Every day, an eagle descended and ate his liver. Every night, the liver grew back, so it could be eaten again. For thousands of years, until Heracles finally freed him, Prometheus knew what would happen. He gave humanity fire anyway. The gods don't punish those who take for themselves. They punish those who give power to others, because that threatens the order itself. Every person who has ever shared knowledge they weren't supposed to share has carried a small version of this chain. The question is never whether the punishment is worth it. The question is whether the fire was necessary. Number 4. Ixion. Ixion was a king, and he committed what the Greeks considered the very first murder. He killed his father-in-law by throwing him into a pit of burning coals to avoid paying the bride price he had promised. The murder was unprecedented. No one knew what to do. So Zeus, in a shocking act of mercy, invited Ixion to Olympus to be purified. He forgave him. He sat him at the divine table, and Ixion repaid this mercy by attempting to seduce Hera, Zeus's wife. Zeus noticed. He created a cloud in the shape of Hera, Nephele, as a trap. Ixion fell for it. Ixion was bound to a wheel of fire, spinning forever, through the heavens, through the underworld, never stopping. Ixion is the warning about ingratitude taken to its ultimate conclusion. He was given a second chance no one deserved more to receive, and used it to reach for more. There is a version of Ixion in every person who mistakes mercy for weakness. The wheel doesn't stop. Number 5, the Danaides. This one is different, because it's not one person, it's 50. The 50 daughters of King Danaides were forced into a marriage they didn't choose. 50 cousins, 50 arranged marriages, one political deal. But Danaides gave his daughters a secret order on the wedding night: kill your husbands. 49 of them obeyed. One, Hypermnestra, refused. She loved her husband and let him live. The 49 who killed were sent to Tartarus, where they must carry water in jars forever. But the jars are cracked. The water always runs out before they reach the pool. Eternity spent on a task that can never be completed. The Danaides are the most uncomfortable punishment on this list. Because they acted on orders. They were victims of a system before they became perpetrators. And yet, they were still punished. Greek mythology doesn't offer the comfort of extenuating circumstances. It asks a harder question. At what point does following orders become a choice? The jars never fill. 5 punishments, 5 eternities. Sisyphus believed he was above consequences. Tantalus confused proximity to greatness with greatness itself. Prometheus gave power to those who weren't supposed to have it. Ixion mistook mercy for permission. The Danaides followed orders until orders became crimes. The Greeks weren't just telling stories. They were building a map of every way a human being can destroy themselves, not through weakness, but through the specific failures of the strong. Hubris, desire, defiance, ingratitude, complicity. These aren't ancient problems. They're the only problems. The names in Tartarus change with every generation. The sins do not.